Excited to get back into normal game week routine. Had some time off last week with our guys. Had a bonus practice, had some extra meeting time, and then the players got a little bit of an extended weekend, which was great for those guys to sort of recharge their batteries. A little more time to heal for a couple of guys who are nursing some injuries. But I thought it was some quality time that we spent. Now got back to practice last night. Had some great meetings, a great practice as we start game week preparation for ULM. You go back, and I mentioned this last week, you look at ULM's schedule. I think they played a quality schedule, probably one of the toughest schedules in the first half of the season of any team in the Sun Belt Conference. And I know they're going to come into this game, fired up, ready to play as they always do. And I know we're looking forward to competing against those guys. We should have a great crowd, homecoming, excited to see a lot of former players that have already texted me, emailed me, said, Coach, coming back in for the game this weekend, can I get tickets? Can I get sideline passes? And so a lot of guys trying to take care of. Looking forward to seeing a lot of former players, and obviously looking forward to seeing all our alumni. I think we'll have a great crowd. We can get some great weather. It'll be a great crowd. Hopefully it'll be a great day at Cajun Field. Our team right now, and I told our team this sitting right where you were sitting just the other day, I really still like our team. We have not played well coming out of the gates. We've been a slow starting team, but boy, we are a fast finishing team. If we could take what we've been doing in the second half, convert that into the first half also, we're going to be pretty dang good. We've had some really good performances by a lot of good players. We've just got to be more consistent, and I think we're still growing as a team. A lot of players that don't have a lot of playing time logged underneath their belts that each week are getting better. You can see it, it's evident. And as we continue moving forward, these guys are only getting better every week. And I think we've seen that at times throughout the games. It'll be critical for us, and that's one of our goals for this week, is to start fast and play 4 quarters. And I think if we can play the way we've been playing in the second half of games, that we can be an outstanding team yet. And there's 6 games left in the regular season, and we're taking these one game at a time. But I really feel confident in our team and the way they're continuing to prepare, the way they do the little things. They're working hard, and I think they've got a lot of confidence in themselves, and they know we've got a lot of good football left ahead of us. And I think that's just a testament to how hard they're working, and and with our program and how the expectations they have of themselves and we have of them, and they know what our program is about. And we've been behind the 8 ball before, and we've stormed back in the past when we've been in a situation like this. So we're hoping that this year will be no exception as we continue moving forward for the rest of the season. So with that, open up any questions.
Coach, when Jalen was struggling in that first half against Arkansas State, did you have to fight any temptation or urge to make another switch at quarterback and kind of plunge your team right back into what it was in earlier this year?
Those thoughts always cross your mind, but then you got to just remember back. We want to try to grow Jalen. We want him to grow as a quarterback and to get some more experience, and then just ripping him right out. Probably the way we did Brooks would not help him progress. We probably did that to Brooks a little too soon. Probably was not fair to him. But since we've made this decision, felt like it was in his best interest moving forward to let him play through it. You go back and you take away 2 throws. Jalen is probably National College Football Player of the Week in all of college football. Quarterback rushing for 200 yards and throws for 235. That's 435 total yards rushing. He may be the first quarterback to rush for 200 and pass for 200, not only this year, but maybe in the last year or 2. That was a pretty strong performance, minus the 2 critical interceptions. That was 14-point swing. That was critical there throughout the game. But he showed that he's got a lot of ability, a lot of skills. We're just trying to harness those skills, and he just needs experience. He's got to learn to make quick decisions and make the right decisions in a very small amount of time when he's got pressure on him, and that comes with playing college quarterback. To me, there's 2 really hard jobs in the country. The first hardest job is probably playing NFL, starting quarterback for the National Football League. The second hardest job in the country is probably being a starting quarterback for the Division I football team. And he's got to learn to make just instantaneous decisions, right decisions, and decisions in the best interest of our team. And I think he's only getting better, and he will continue to improve.
Coach, ULM came into the season, obviously they planned on having Rashawn Caesar be a big part of their offense. With him being out, does that make it more challenging to kind of identify who their big targets are?
Well, it probably makes it just as hard, because we knew who to go to or to cover when they had him. We could put two on him. But now when you don't have him, they've got just a lot of good receivers that all can catch. And so now you've got to make sure you got them all covered. It's not just one guy that you want to identify, because they all are talented. They got a really talented young quarterback who I think is going to be an excellent quarterback, and you can see him making strides. This guy's got a little bit of that Colting Browning factor in him. He's just a redshirt freshman, so he's not there yet. But I'm gonna tell you, he's a guy that can make things happen. He throws a really good ball. Coach Barry's done a great job recruiting him, and he's got a lot of weapons around him at the receiver position. They've been hit by the injury bug just like we have, and it takes a toll on you. But they're continuing to battle, and they've played a very tough schedule.
Do you think you found the right combination on the offensive line, and you're going to stick with that?
Yeah, we're sticking with that right there. We're going to stick with that. Those are our best five, and that leaves everybody in their same spots with the exception of Grant. And so we're moving forward right there with the way we got our O-line.
UL Monroe had almost 400 or almost 500 passing yards against y'all last year. I mean, obviously some of that was because of the way y'all stopped the run, but was that kind of unexpected, and is that something you're kind of bracing for again this year, maybe them trying to throw the ball all around the
Well, that for sure, and last year we did stop the run, didn't control the pass near as much, but, found a way to win the football game, held them to 27 points, and they've been scoring quite a few more than that. We've got to get stops there in the first half. We've got to give our offense a chance to get in a rhythm. What you don't want to get is a team gets up 14 points, 17 points, and now, you want to get your offense going, but sometimes you start pressing, and you feel like you're playing catch-up. So defensively, I've challenged our defense. We want to play better, just like the entire team, in the first half. And we've got to create some short fields for our team. When we get the ball offensively every time, we've only caused 5 turnovers this year. And so when we get the ball offensively, we're going 80 yards every time we get the ball. And you look at this past week against Idaho had 2 turnovers inside their own 12-yard line. So Monroe got 2 turnovers for their team on the positive 12 going in, and got a quick 10 points just from turnovers. And so that's the thing that I've challenged our defense. We've got to do a little better job, or much better job, creating turnovers. And in the past, we have created a lot of turnovers, especially the last 6 games of the season last year.
Coach, you mentioned again, discussing the idea of getting off quickly in the first half this year, not being able to do that up to this point. Do you feel at times where maybe the kids come out and they are just kind of waiting for something bad to happen to them, or it's just the little things, the penalties, the turnovers, the things
Yeah,
all
I think a
together?
lot of times just missed assignments. Like, we had Jamal Robinson behind their DBs, probably 5 yards on the second, I think, drive of the game, wide open. We overthrow them, So just a little lack of execution early. Maybe waiting for somebody else to make a play rather than you stepping up and making a play. And so, but in the second half, what seems like everybody now, once they feel like, we better go get it done, everybody starts stepping up and making plays. You saw Gabe Fuselier making a great catch over the cornerback. You saw some great runs. You saw Jalen putting the team on his shoulders there late. But it's all a little bit too late. We got to get a quicker start, and that's better execution. That's a mindset that you got to come out with in the first half, on the first play, first drive, special teams, in order to be productive and efficient and sort of set the tone for the game.
Homecoming's always an interesting week. How do you kind of deal with all the non-football related stuff?
Well, I told our team last night, homecoming's always interesting. The fraternities and sororities, their job is to have a lot of fun parties and have a great time. The alumni's job is to come back in and have great tailgating all weekend and have a great time. The football team's job is to have a hard week of practice and to win the game. That's our job. And I told our guys, if they really want to have a big party, homecoming party, tailgate, we will do that this spring on one weekend. I'll get somebody to cater it, And we'll have a big tailgate out there at Cajun Field, big party, and have a great time. But our job this week is great preparation, great practice, dialed in, minimizing distractions, and playing lights out in our stadium.
Coach, what do you do to get that in with regards to a quicker start? Is there something you can do in practice or kind of the what you go through, the preparation?
There is, in practice, that's something that we even did last night. Not only do you talk about it and address it right before practice starts on how you want to start practice fast, with great tempo at practice, with seeing guys execute at practice. All the coaches are pushing their guys harder at the beginning of practice. All the players, we want them playing harder, want them playing faster, want to see guys executing early in practice. And so we're trying to put our players in those type of positions early in practice to sort of simulate getting started quickly in a game, and that's something we continue to try to do. And I think over time it's going to pay off. I think our inexperience in a lot of positions, guys, it takes them a little while to get comfortable out there on the field because they hadn't played in a lot of games. And and once they sort of get their feet wet and they've gotten comfortable, well, they've played really well there in the second half.
What's the last year or so been like for Dom Jones, who lost his starting job at corner, moves to safety, he's a backup safety, and now he's playing a lot for you as nickel? It seemed what's that been like for him, just kind of finding a way?
Talking about Dom Jones moving and how he's accepted that role. Dom Jones is a quality person who is the definition of a team player. I wish we had more Dom Joneses. This guy comes to work every day with a great attitude. He's a leader. He has the respect of all his teammates and coaches, and that's why he continues to find a role on this team. He's lost his starting job at corner. Well, he found a way to play at safety. Lost his job at safety. Well, he said, by God, I'm going to play nickel. You can't keep the guy off the field. He's a football player. He loves the game. Just a great person, great student. He's going to represent our university for a long time.
Coach, ULM has struggled offensively. How much of that do you see on tape, and/or how much is that? I mean, the schedule's been brutal too.
Yeah, they played Alabama, they played Georgia, they played Appalachian State, who's got one of the best defenses probably in the country right now. Played Georgia Southern. They played 4 pretty strong teams, and they've had some injuries that has set them back too. But make no mistake about it, when they come into Cajun Field, they will be playing. They'll raise their play. They always do when they play us. And we hope to match that too and raise our play against those guys also. But they'll play hard. I have no doubt about it. But they have played a tough schedule, and that has probably, to me, that's had as much to do with their numbers as anything, is the schedule they've played. But they've still have found a way to move the ball. They seem to always do that, or at least score points.
Coach, how much have y'all focused on maybe, and obviously you try to do that unless you get far behind in the game, but trying to find a way to package to get Jalen doing the things he's comfortable doing in the passing game, finding that rhythm a little bit, and then on the other side, the communications between him and the wide receivers. I've seen a little bit of frustration there in the Arkansas State game because obviously they were fighting to win that game, and that happens when you have guys competing.
Yeah, we got guys, they're competing. They all want the ball. All those wideouts want the ball. Unfortunately, it's only one football. But you know what? When the ball comes your way, you got to make the most of it, make the most of your opportunities. And like I said, Jalen probably wouldn't own as much as he might have been the previous week against Texas State, but he was still productive in a lot of areas that was good enough for us to get back into the ball game. But we've got to get Al Rouse and Jamal Robinson, continue to get them into the game. But you know what? Gabe Fugile, he's shown that he is much as a playmaker as any of the other two. And so we've got 3 playmakers out there at receiver. We've got to give them the ball, give them more opportunities, and keep giving Elijah McGuire more opportunities also. So we've got, I think, some really quality weapons that we've got on the offensive side of the ball. We've just got to try to get them more involved in the game plan. And the more that we can get them all involved, the more or less predictable we can be and more wide open we can be.
Coach, are you guys kind of looking at this as almost like a second season right now for the second half of this? You've had a rough start, so you saw 6 games ahead of you. You try to kind of make the team.
It is, and we address that as a team. We've got the whole season. We've got every goal, believe it or not. It's still, most of our goals can all still be accomplished. We've still, if you look at the conference, to me the conference is still wide open. with Georgia Southern losing this past week. I think the conference is still wide open. There's been a lot of times in the last few years that the conference champion in this league has had one loss, and so who knows what's going to happen down the road. But we can't control any of that. All we can control is this first game coming up of the second half of the season, which is Game 7 for us this Saturday against ULM.
Is it the time between these last two games? I think 2 games in 20 days. Does that give you time to replace Mike on the offensive line and get those guys kind of up to speed of how to play together?
Yeah, I don't know if you ever replace Mike right away.
Right.
You know, that takes an off season. That takes an off season, summer workouts. That takes a little more than just a couple of days to replace Michael Quaid. That guy was a dominating player up front who was having a great year. But every game that Grant plays, he's only going to get better. And not just Grant, the entire group, working together as a group, their production, their calls, their communication, that will only improve as the season goes along. And so I'm excited about the future of those guys because they're only going to get better.
Coach, you've the last handful of weeks, you've dealt with, from an opponent standpoint, you've dealt with senior quarterbacks, you've dealt with like a Jeff Driscoll, a Freddie Knighton. This kid that they have, he's a redshirt freshman. Does that, from your standpoint, do you kind of hope, hey, maybe this guy will be a little bit more predictable as far as where he's gonna, where his throwing point is gonna be, where he's gonna be as far as getting some heat on him?
Well, you know, we've seen some great quarterbacks this year. It seems like we've seen all the senior quarterbacks that we could stand this year. This kid, like I said, he's just a redshirt freshman, but he's a talented little player. And you know, this guy's, they've had some good quarterbacks at Louisiana Monroe, and he will be no different than some of the other ones they have had there. And I think he's a really good player. And, you know, how he handles the games, you know, he's only getting better, just like Jalen. He's getting better each week with the more starts that he gets. But I still think he's going to be and is a really good quarterback.
Are you kind of glad you're catching him now instead of at the end of the season before he has even more time to?
You know, I just know that they're whenever you play Louisiana Monroe, they're going to bring their A game regardless if you play them early in the season or late in the season.
You're at the bottom of the league in turnover ratio, I think a minus maybe 8. I mean, how much has that affected your season?
Number one, that's the number one factor. And I talked to our team and coaches about that. You know, you can throw all the stats out the window. You know, if you look at our stats, we're around the middle or top third of all the statistical categories. We're number one in punt. But where we are in turnover margin is the reason why we're sitting where we are right now, bar none, the only reason. So if you take the game the other night against Arkansas State and we get a pick six, we run it back for a touchdown, and then they throw an interception in the red zone, then we win that football game. It's that simple. 90% of the games in college football, if you look at the team that had the fewest turnovers, that's going to be the team that won the game. And the game's not overly complicated. People think it's fancy dynamic offense, defense, all this stuff. It's who takes care of the football and who can put the football in the end zone, but also, most importantly, take care of the ball. I had my old high school coach told me one time, a long time ago, it made a lot of sense. You know, every offense possession, no matter what, you want it to end with a kick. And if you do that, you're going to win almost every game. And so it made sense in a lot of ways, because you either kick it an extra point or you're punting. That means you didn't ever turn the ball over.
Is it something you work on, or is it something that just happened?
No, I know this. You know, we've not turned the ball over an extremely big amount of times this year. I think we're averaging 2 a game, which is too many. In the past, we've been way less than that. But the part that we're struggling with is the number of turnovers we've caused. We've only caused 5. I think Arkansas State's got 1 more turnover than us, but they've caused like 4 or 5 more turnovers than they've gotten. And so, or than they've given up. And so, you know, that's the difference. We have got to create more turnovers defensively and give the ball to our team in some great, with some great field position, with a chance to get some big plays and to create some separation. So that's the critical part. And then offensively, you know, just about all our turnovers have been interceptions. Just about every one. I don't think it's hardly been any balls on the ground in regards to dropping them or fumbles and things like that. ball security has been really great. Not one running back has turned the ball over this year in 6 games. That's strong. But where we're not being strong is in the passing game, making good decisions. So we've got to improve that. If we can improve that, man, we'll have a chance of, which we did last year. Last 6 games of the year, we led the country with the fewest turnovers. So hopefully we can get on that streak and do that again.
But as far as the picks go, how you don't want Jalen being gun shy though in the pocket as well, right?
No, you want him to have confidence, and you don't want him to keep from making plays because he's worried about making a bad play, and that comes with experience. That comes with being a young quarterback, or an inexperienced quarterback, I should say. And he's only going to get better, which we've seen that. But just we've had some inopportune times for turnovers, just like the 2 this past week, and so hopefully we can continue to work to minimize those things.
Do you expect ULM to try to mimic some of the things Arkansas State did to take Eli out of the running game?
Well, they already do a lot of what Arkansas State did. Arkansas State sort of game planned that. That's sort of what Monroe does to begin with. Is safeties are down in the box, down tight, a lot of people in the box. They have that extra, what they call their Hulk linebacker. So they've got a lot of guys in the box to stop the run. And they say, hey, if you can beat us in the passing game, come beat us. We're going to put a lot of people up front and make you throw the football, or at least make it very hard for you to run the ball. And they do a really good job.
Any update on Jamal after the last time we talked?
Yeah, he should be fine. We expect him to practice tomorrow, and expect him to be at 100% on Saturday, which we'll need him. McCollum will be questionable. I still don't think he'll quite be ready.
Coaches, one last question for you. From a staff standpoint, you guys, y'all been through this before. Y'all, the second half of the season, you've had to make a runs before. Matter of fact, I think almost every season you've had to do that. Is there a point where maybe you guys are sometimes not getting off to a good start in these games up to this point? The frustration that was there, maybe get a little impatient with some of the play calling, or y'all been able to kind of just work through that?
Well, sometimes you do get impatient with the play calling when you're down 21-0 and you feel like, hey, if we punt it back, it's going to be 28. And so sometimes you can get impatient in the play calling, especially when the head coach is screaming, hey, we got to get some first downs. We got to move the football. Obviously that's part of the game. What you like to do is punt it back, play good defense, get the ball back, run your offense. Get in a rhythm, find some answers. Don't find it then, punt the ball. Play good defense, get the ball back. Move the football, finds answers, find a score, get a big play. That's sort of how the game flows, but it has not flowed like that in about 3 of the games this year, because defensively we didn't get some stops early, which forced the offense to really start getting into catch-up mode instead of just running and doing what they do. And that puts more pressure on inexperienced quarterback like Jalen Nixon. So instead of running some read option and doing stuff that he's really good at, now he's forced to go into 2-minute offense early in the game to try to create some passing yards and sort of do what he really is not. He can throw the ball well, but not probably his forte. And so we've taken the ball out of his hands running the ball a little more than we probably would have liked to, because of the way some of the games have gotten in the first half. But nevertheless, every one of those games we've clawed back in, had a chance to get back into this game the other night, and then also when we tied the game up against Kentucky. So we're really close. I told our team that. Well, I think we are right on the cusp of breaking out and really playing exceptionally well.
Time for 2 more.
What's the biggest improvement Savion Brown's made from the day he showed up for camp to now?
Learning how to practice. And since he's learned how to practice, he's became a better player. When Savion got here, he didn't know how to practice. Didn't understand our expectations or how our program was ran. And it took a little bit of a learning curve. It took a little tough love, and he has really, though, accepted the coaching, and he's realized that, hey, if I will listen to the coaches, I will be a much better player. And I will give him a lot of credit. He has really bought in, and I think it finally showed the other night. He's a big corner, and he's what we want. We recruit a big team, and he's a big corner, and I really thought he had a phenomenal game. He's gotten better each week, and it's because of his practice habits now, and he's developed himself into being a better player because of the way he's preparing.
Who's your favorite superhero, Coach?
Who, man, I tell you, I got a lot of favorite ones. I'm a Justice League guy myself personally, but And Green Lantern, I'm a Green Lantern guy, like the Green Lantern. Want to get into a bunch of them if you had time.
So post game after a win, we got a costume ready or what? First
You
half?
know what? If we get a big win against ULM, I may break out in costume. They'll see me excited, and I'll probably be out in the tailgate area trick or treating.
What are your boys
Before the
dressed-
game, I probably wouldn't get much candy.
What are your little boys gonna dress as for home?
I told them, they went last year dressed as Coach Hud. They had a whistle, visor. I said, guys, you won't get any candy this year. I said, we're gonna go dress as something else this year. So I think my little boy's going as John Cena. He is a big wrestling fan.
Awesome.
So Major's going as John Cena, and Captain, who knows with that guy, so. Gunner, what are you going as?
All right, coach. Hey, coach.
Thanks.
All right, guys, thanks a lot, appreciate it.
Okay.